you every year, and you get a chance to meet two of them here today. So let me just preface this here for you. This is going to be fantastic. This is going to be a life-altering experience. They are the stars of one of the best and most beloved Christmas movies of all time. They took on Yellow-Eyed Bullies and won, and they are in the building right now. I triple dare you to give it up for Peter Billingsley and Scott Schwartz. So I'm going to need your help, everybody, with a little FanX tradition. What we like to do is we have the stars of the show here this afternoon. We're taking a shot with all of you. So if you want to stand up, you want to be able to be excited, we want to see it in this photo here with Peter and Scott. I'm coming down here. We'll do our best to accommodate anybody and everything. I heard something over here. We'll do our best.
What a great crowd.
This is awesome.
A little Christmas in September. I like it.
Well, we're getting close, Eddie.
We are getting close.
What time of year do you guys put up the Christmas tree in your guys' house?
I don't know. I think right after Halloween, it's kind of games acceptable for the Christmas decorations. Yeah.
First time in Utah for both of you?
What's that?
First time in Utah for both of you?
No, not at all. Been here many times. Been up to Sundance a lot as well.
Yeah, that's a great place to be. First impressions here, Scott. I know we're getting some AV stuff figured out here for you.
Scott's first impression.
You gave me a mic with no cord.
First impression here at Salt Lake City.
Wait, second. Christmas tree. Jewish! Salt Lake City is beautiful. I've actually was here 8 or 10 years ago to go film up here for a couple days. It's gorgeous.
It is a beautiful city.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you.
How's the Chinese?
There's a couple places. We got Chinatown. They're in South Salt Lake, right? Everybody knows okay. So I mean, how many people are here about the Christmas story? So there's a number of burning questions I have, and I want to make sure everybody has a number of questions they can ask both of you here today. Most recently, you guys came back for the reunion, right?
Yes. Christmas Story Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many Christmases can you fit in the title?
Right? Yes. 39 years later.
Give me just the gist of what it was like coming back together after all those years of when the movie was filmed back in, what was it,
83.
83.
Yeah.
To come back and then do that again with almost so many of the cast who returned for it.
We got everybody back who was still with us, which was great. It was, I think the coolest moment was, so we shot the movie in Bulgaria. People know. And we did that because we wanted to build the Parker House in that whole street. And that was the one place in the world they said that we could cheaply do it. And I remember we just had gotten done painting the final house. And I'm standing on that street, and it really looked like we were back on the original set. And I called these guys and said, "You've got to come down." And it's like we're kind of teleported back in time. So as hard as it was being over there, it really kind of helped us focus, and it felt like we were just back in that world. And it was really, really cool. And I don't know, for some reason with all of us, with all the kid casts, like the time just kind of picked up right where it left off.
And I'm still the older one, so it's like I'm the one.
We always the older brother.
How big of a thrill was that when you got back together, knowing that there's been a lot of time had passed between the original movie and the reunion, to be able to finally get a storyline together that got greenlit, and that you had so many people involved in it and wanted to do that?
Yeah, it almost never happened. I mean, we had talked about doing it for years, and then there was some false starts, and then some other projects that didn't feel like it made sense. And then we partnered with Legendary and Warner Brothers, and kind of made a commitment to do it, and really just wanted to do it right. But we weren't going to do it unless we could get all the cast back, and we did.
Yeah, we showed up. Isn't that amazing?
I made the call.
I made it the 53 without going to Europe. And next thing I know, I get a call from Peter's like, hey, we're doing this thing. But you got to audition. Okay, so I auditioned, all right.
He was so pissed. And it wasn't me that said that, it was the studio, it had just been some time.
I wasn't really,
But I knew he would crush it.
I thought it was funny. You know, but it's funny from my perspective, and it's not funny from their perspective, because if they don't see that you're working, or they can't see anything you've done for a while, then they figure, well, maybe he gained 100 pounds, maybe he's on drugs, maybe he's dead, they have no idea. Okay, fine. So I'm like, all right. From my perspective is, okay, so I've been doing this and living this for 39 years. Then now you want me to audition to do for exactly what I've been doing for the last 39 years. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I wasn't going to do anything. No, I just thought it was funny.
I called him, I said, you have to audition. He goes, I have to audition?
Something like that. But they actually got me to get on a plane for 13 and a half hours from LAX to, Turkey. Well, no, Turkey.
Right.
To,
flew through Turkey.
Yeah. I can't even think of the name of the town now. I must be tired.
You put all the energy.
Istanbul. We went to Istanbul from LAX and then.
So you can see the crowd reception here for you guys tonight. This is obviously Salt Lake. I'm sure you get crowds like this. No one likes Salt Lake, mind you, but crowds like this all over the world, whether it's in Bulgaria. Did you get fan reception?
We did a little bit, yeah. Actually, a lot of the crew had seen it. It's really wild over time how much traffic. You know, a lot of you guys know this movie was not a big hit when it first came out. It played in theaters, it did fine. And this was 83, this was before cable and video. So movies that was kind of it. You thought, all right, well that was cool, we did it, we worked hard, and a few people saw it. And then slowly,
it went into what we call VHS hell for the next 13 years. And then Ted Turner was buying the MGM library to show on TBS and TNT. And one of the last films that he bought was Christmas Story, and that changed the whole game 13 years after the film came out.
Yeah, so that doesn't generally happen. So it was cool because we experienced the movie, but then a lot of the notoriety came later. So it wasn't an overnight hit. It was, I remember I was living in Phoenix, I was in a video store renting a video around 1995, and there was a standee of me in the cowboy outfit, like a big cardboard cutout, like all these years later. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at me, and I'm like, what the hell is this thing? And I went to the guy and I said, what is this? He said, yeah, the movie's getting extremely big, and people are requesting it every year. So it sort of had its day many, many years later, and then after the marathon, it just kept growing and growing. And we have an amazing fan base like you guys, which has been awesome. So it doesn't happen without the fans. And I heard it started with people like passing VHSs to each other. So like you have a VHS, those that remember that tape, like a cassette, and then you give it to a friend and say, you should check out this movie. And that's really how it early started. It used to be called a cult classic, the film.
What's it like now being in a cult?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Fortunately, at times I get to be the cult leader, so it's easier.
Was that the first time you recognized that you saw the popularity of the movie? Is that when you?
I think so, yeah. Also, I was very close to it, but then over time, because I know it ends up probably Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on in a lot of your houses, and it does in mine too. And not because I like watching myself in the movie, it's just I'm now able to be objective with it. And I just appreciate it. I know the look. And I just have grown to appreciate it. Then you hear those sounds and you hear the voiceover, and it's like, oh yeah, it feels like Christmas.
And it definitely is on in our house every year. You know, you put it on TBS, as Scott mentioned. And what I love about that is it's on all day. It's not just they play it on Christmas, they play it.
I do it for a few minutes and then I move on.
Right? Scott, what's it like being able to see that? And that is the movie that TBS plays all day long.
What exactly did you want to know?
What's it like knowing that? I mean, you have all the Christmas movies.
Oh, what's it like?
Yeah, so you have.
That's right. I know about mid-January. I'm gonna get my check for $1.50. we make $1.60.
It was before the contracts had defined what cable was, so it's the joy of making the movie.
And my contract was and what they call ACTRA, which is the Canadian union because you could only have 3 American actors at the time to have a SAG contract if you shot in, the movie was out of Canada. So the actor is completely different. So it's like, and it's a sliding scale. It's like when they show something the first or second time, you get a certain percentage of your weekly rate and all that. But then when it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100, 100, then there's that bottom level that it just bottoms out, and that's where we're at because it's been shown so many times. So it's literally like 80 cents a day. I'll make this fast. The old contract, the way that it was done, was if you showed a movie on any calendar day more than once, you only had to pay for 1 showing. So when they show it 12 times over the course of 2 days, you know, 6 times a day, you only get paid for 2 showings. And it's 80 cents. It would make $1 a house.
You're rolling.
Oh, listen, you know, this film went from a labor of love between Bob Clark and Gene Shepard, the writer, to something that went to Americana. It's now a level of, it's in the Library of Congress. You know, I say it this way with like a lot of fun. We're American iconic figures. Now, granted, with that, it's $3.25 a cup of coffee. So it really doesn't mean anything other than it's just nice to have done what we've done.
Very much.
So, I almost called you Flynn just now.
Flynn?
Yeah, I was called you.
Well, Errol Flynn would have been okay.
Yeah. But I think the thing that people, at least for me, the thing that people remember most about your character in the movie is the tongue on the pole.
Yes, there's me and Gene Simmons, and that's it.
Right, and that's it. Can you, I know I've heard a little bit about this, just kind of picking up and doing my own homework here, but I love, how did you pull off sticking the tongue to the pole? Because I know it doesn't work.
So the fast and easiest way to explain it is, there is a real pole there, but they made a piece of plastic, they put it over the real pole. They painted it to make it look an old rusty like an old, and they put a hole in it about the size of your pinky nail. They ran a tube from the snow from the ground and put a Dirt Devil vacuum cleaner over it. So it's not really that difficult. If any of you have put your hand on a vacuum cleaner, you put it, that's really all it was. So the tongue stuck that way very easily.
Yeah, they just turn it sideways so the camera's shooting right at the side, and when he puts the tongue on, you can't see the hole.
Yeah, you can't see the hole.
Yeah, we all tried it. It was kind of awesome.
See now,
It's like, I gotta try this. Wipe it off, wipe it off. I'll go.
nobody wiped it off.
Yeah. Probably not, it was the 80s. Nobody gave a shit. Sorry.
So I'm the first one, of course, right? So I asked Bob Clark, the director of the film, God rest his soul, how does this thing work? He says, I'll show you, turn it on. I'll give you one. So they turn it on, he sticks his tongue there. Okay. Are you ready to roll? Okay. Never even thought about it. Nobody wiped it down, nothing. It took me 30 years to figure that out, though, because somebody said to me, it's not really clean. And I'm like, okay. It's the same as the 4,000 people that stuck their hand into a pickle jar at the farmer's market. And nobody ever got sick. And then 45 years later, somebody goes, that's not really clean. Nobody cared, okay? So nobody cared about cleaning the pole off.
That's very true.
That looked like it was a fun moment from the show. I mean, from the movie. It looked like it wasn't a fun moment, was it?
Go ahead, Pete. I want to hear your explanation first. Go ahead.
Well, I thought it was fun. I didn't have to do it over and over again. I also didn't have to be put in the snow, left out in the snow. I was in the warm room looking at you laughing. I don't think you were really told about that, were you? Were you told about that shot?
No, see, being the oldest, being the jokester, I'm the one that pulled jokes on everything and ribbed, and me and him would pull jokes on Bob Clark and all this. Well, this was their revenge on me. So I'm out there, he's up in, toward the end of the scene when I'm just all by myself. And he's up there, and there's a guy in a car you can't see, because if you're looking at me and I'm at the pole, he's right in front of me, he's sitting in the car going like this. That means keep your arms going, keep going, keep going.
Still rolling,
Still rolling, okay. You all gotta understand, it was like 22 below zero out there.
It was a legit blizzard. There was not special effects.
No. And he's going like this, and finally after a couple minutes you start getting tired. You get whatever, and then it starts to get cold, and your face starts to hurt, and everything else starts to hurt. And he's going, finally I had enough, and I quit. And I turned around and I look up in the window where the camera was. They're all gone, the lights are out. They turned everything, they went to lunch, and they left me out there. And the guy in the car is dying at this, because now he knows the jig is up, and he's just cracking up, man. And he's sitting in a nice warm car in Europe in a nice warm school, eating a warm meal. Oh yeah.
Do you have a favorite moment, Peter?
A lot of people have asked me if there was improv in the movie, and there was not a lot of improv. It was really heavily scripted. In fact, so scripted that the cursing that I did, about 2 weeks before we shot that, Gene came up to me with some note cards and said, I need you to memorize these. And I said, well, what is it? He said, it's the curse words that's coming up in the scene when I beat up the bully. I'm like, well, I know it's a PG movie, I'll just kind of mumble some stuff. He said, no. It has to be exactly this. And they were smart to give it to me 2 weeks, because it's one thing to learn English, it's another thing to learn gibberish, and it's really hard. And I still remember the very first thing I said. It was Cradden Rat, Stinking Hot Puffenstogger. It's like, and you think about it, it's like, oh, that's pretty good, right? Like, and that's how good Gene was as a writer. He could write what was supposed to be cursing. So that entire thing was scripted. And then on the improv side, Bob Clark, the director, would do a lot of great stuff where it wasn't improv, but he wouldn't tell you that he was going to do something until you were in the scene and they were rolling. So then you're kind of committed to not breaking character. So I'll give you an example. When we're in Higbee's and I'm waiting in line, and that odd kid comes up to me with the hat and the goggles, and he's like, I like the Tin Man. Right? And I'm like, yeah. I had no idea he was coming up to me. It was completely, so as uncomfortable as I looked, it's because I was genuinely uncomfortable thinking, what is going on? Why is this weird kid ruining our take? But I didn't want to break character. And then the witch comes up, and I thought she was going to go by, and then she stops and she grabs my cheek, which is so annoying. Not told that was going to happen. And I'm like, don't bother me, I'm thinking. It was like all I could think of saying. It was basically, get out of here. The other big one that they did was in the Chinese restaurant. If you look at that, it's actually all one shot. So next time you see the movie, it just starts in and the camera's slowly pulling out, and there's no edit. So he didn't tell Melinda, the mom, what that duck thing was going to look like. So when she screams, it is genuinely a scream of horror. And then she starts laughing because she's like, this can't be real. But she doesn't want to break the take either. And then the guy chops the head off, and Darren screams, didn't tell him that he was going to chop the head off. So he was great at doing it, and that's why I think so much of it feels so real, because it was real, so much of it. So much of those moments were not scripted, and they were moments that Bob was able to create by just kind of planning them out. So there's a lot of that stuff in there that worked. Oh, I'll give you one more, which is kind of my favorite. If you watch when the little brother Randy goes down the slide, he lands, and he legit starts to cry. He did not want to go down that slide. But they had to get the shot, so I think they gave him a little shove over the edge while we were rolling. So he does it, and then he cries for a second. He goes, he said, that wasn't that bad. He goes, I want to do it again. And Bob's like, nope, got exactly what I needed. Hold on. That was it. Got the shot. We're good. So there was a lot of moments like that.
I feel like that, what a great balance to be able to, he's so meticulous to be able to script out the swearing as you're just kind of making up words almost, there. But then to leave it with enough freedom in those moments to get the real reactions from you guys in that.
Yeah, it took them 12 years to make the movie. So I have done a lot of movies before, I've done a lot of movies since. I've still to this day never seen a filmmaker more prepared. And they spent all that time prepping. They wanted to make this movie so badly. I mean, Bob's note cards were so detailed. He knew every lens, every shot. It was like they had really made the movie in their head and on paper so many times that by the time we hit the set, he was just grooving with it. And, you know, it's just a testament. Just nobody wanted to finance the movie, and Bob had to throw his salary back in, had to agree to do other movies. It's just, I think finally he burned them out. They're like, all right, go make your stupid Christmas movie that no one will see, and then you can get back to working on these other films. And it was the one that has been the most popular.
And a little blackmail. A little blackmail because he had done Porky's. And it was so huge. And they could not wait for him to do Porky's 2. And it was just timing of the year. Because they're like, go do Porky's 2. And he's like, I can't do Porky's 2 in November and December and January and February and March. I can't do it until really April or May. And they're like, well then okay, we'll just wait. And he goes, no, but I'm not gonna do it unless you finance A Christmas Story. So he leveraged Porky's 2 against A Christmas Story to get Christmas Story done. You know? And the tongue in the flagpole, the script only said, flick sticks tongue to pole. And I said, Bob, what do you want me to do? You know, what do you want me to say? He goes, you work with Richard Pryor, man. I saw you. Just make up something. Figure it out. Whatever you do, act natural, let it go, and see what happens. And I did it a few times, and he liked it, whatever. And then he's like, give me more. And then he was like, no, do it the way you do it. So I ended up putting this on camera, which is stuff that I came up with off the cuff. One of the few things that it was like you, same kind of thing. Yeah. I'll let you go on, you do what you feel is natural, and if I don't like it, I'll tell you. And Bob was really good at knowing and understanding his talent, you know.
And he was also, he kept the bullies away from us.
Yeah.
Because he wanted us to genuinely be scared of them. He didn't want us to build a rapport and friendship and a chemistry. So like, I look at them, they'd be staring at me across the set. I'm like, okay, it's kind of working. It's a little bit scary.
There's like 2 pictures. I think there's 2 that I've ever seen of all of us together. And they both have like other crew members in the middle, just making sure that the bullies don't beat us up or something. It was really weird, but fun.
How old were the two of you at the time?
I was 83, so I turned 12, I think, on the set.
Okay.
I looked a lot younger, yeah.
Were they on set?
Yeah, that often happens. It was a long shoot. Back then, we had a lot more days than they kind of give you now to do films.
Right, right. And Scott, for you?
I was 3 months from 15.
Isn't that crazy?
You were that much older.
Oh yeah.
I was about to be driving a car.
Couldn't see over the wheel, the steering wheel. I mean, I could try it.
Well, let me ask you this before we take audience questions. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to be able to, good crime to everybody with a long time, but as many of you have a chance to answer questions as much as possible. I'm curious, Peter, what memorabilia have you kept from the
It's
show?
a bad question, dude. Killing me.
Why?
Because you're the luckiest bastard on the planet.
Okay,
There's gotta be. I know
yes,
there's
it is.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky in this sense. I did a lot of stuff before then, like the Messy Marvin commercials. So my mom was good about keeping little keepsakes, not thinking they were going to be valuable, but just kind of keeping like the glasses from the Messy Marvin stuff, things from shoot. She would always keep something. And it was nice. She just always thought, you know, when you're growing up, it'll be nice to have a little something from the film. So Bob gave me one of the original BB guns with a plaque on it, which is very cool. Because this is back then, it was before kind of memorabilia really,
I don't know, nothing meant anything more than just a moment.
It was going to get thrown out. So I have the rhinestone cowboy suit from the cowboy fantasy. With the boots and the gloves.
Wait, it's coming.
Right. And then I have what is really just the one of one. Like a lot of time you make doubles of props and costumes in case you spill on it. So there was only one of this made, and I have it.
Take a guess.
It's, you got it. It's the original bunny suit. And that is kept in a humidity controlled vault. That one probably does have some value, but it's very cool, and I'll tell you that too. Some people have said, oh, you know, you really look like your performance was good, like you didn't want to be in it. I'm like, yeah, I did not want to be in that pink bunny suit. No acting required. It was hot, it was sweaty, and who wants to wear a pink bunny suit?
I'm wondering, have you ever given up any of the memorabilia over the years? Your mom collected a couple of things, it sounds like. Did any of them slip out of your hands?
No, I just kind of went through some stuff, and there's a lot of it. There's some odd ones from just old films that are not that well known, but it is, she was right. It's kind of nice to have it, because you look at it and it creates a lot of memories and good thoughts, but to have them from this film is really, really cool. And oh, and I have the slate board too, and then I keep out in the office.
As you should. All right, I want to get to those questions. If you would get in line right here up front with the microphone. How about it? This is your time.
Thanks for coming. Let's talk electric sex.
Electric sex, okay?
The leg lamp, I mean, it's so unique.
Yes.
Deep crop. Any insight, backstory to the leg lamp?
Well, I think honestly that was another example of me seeing it for the first time, and it was taken out of the box in that shot. Because if you look at me, I'm kind of like, whoa, wow, this is pretty cool. And Randy is kind of bothered by it. He doesn't want to look at it. So that was another example of holding something back. It was bizarre. You know, I certainly didn't know what to make of it. I thought it was insane when I first saw it. But there was a lot of those made. And I think Gene Shepard got one of them. I think a couple of people got those original leg lamps because they had to break a lot of them. Thank you.
I've always been curious about Bob Clark, you know, and
Good man.
movies that he made. I was wondering about Porky's and everything because I was thinking, well, was he making that show? I mean, it's not quite family oriented.
Bob made every kind of genre there was. Most people don't know Bob's background. He is really responsible for the horror genre in the 70s.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
So very versatile, very...
Black Christmas, Gene. You know, do yourself a favor, look on his IMDb page. Most directors are comedy directors or action directors or horror directors or genre.
Yeah.
This man did absolutely everything from hardcore drama, tribute with Robbie Benson. He did horror, he did comedy, he did that
Baby Genius.
Dan Aykroyd, Talking
Wasn't he
Babies.
working on
Did
Porky's?
every different kind of movie.
Wasn't he working on Porky's at the time that he was doing Christmas Story?
Porky's too.
Yeah, Porky's.
He was
I thought he
doing
got out of Porky's too.
No. So he was, while we were shooting Christmas Story,
Yeah.
he was editing it at the same time and doing pre-production on Porky's daily. He was doing stuff every day so that when we finished the Christmas Story, it would be 98% done, got to do a little ADR, the voiceover and sound and stuff like that. But the editing was done, and a month later, he went and started Porky's too.
One other real quick question.
Sure.
Okay, I seen the Christmas Story house out there in Cleveland.
Next question. Go ahead.
Now I understand it was just the exteriors that were actually shot there.
That's right, exactly right. The interiors were in Canada. So the interior of the house was built in Canada, exteriors there. The hardest scene to do was when the robbers come and I'm out the window because they'd shoot my close-up in the window, and then 2 months later we were doing over-the-shoulder outside, so that was when that
Now when you were beat up by Scott Farkas, did it really hurt? Were you, I mean, you were really bloodied up when you...
I beat him up. Come on.
He beat him. And he
No,
really
he
did
beat you up the first time. When Melinda came and...
Oh, I was able to avoid the trouble.
Yeah.
These are the guys.
We got the uncle.
All right, we'll get one more. Thank you, sir.
I was just wondering if you guys seen the musical stage version of it?
The Christmas Story musical? Yes, I was a producer on that. So that was sort of the only thing prior to the sequel that I had ever done with it. Yeah, we built it and kind of took it to Chicago and then took it to Broadway, and it's still running now. I might go back probably, I don't know if you saw it, the show was good. It just basically, like, I think the part that hooked me was the leg lamp kick line. I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. So it was, again, taking kind of moments from the movie, but making the musical, and I thought this movie lent itself very well to that format.
The slide part is really funny.
Yes, totally. The Santa Claus part, yeah.
I've got questions, Scott.
Yes, sir.
I feel like all the dogs come into family dinner to pull up the took it off the table.
Yeah. That was vicious because they purposely did not feed the dogs for like 12 hours.
Okay, so it was the 80s, guys.
Starving.
A little different now.
Now you have, because
Go judges.
so I heard about it the following day, but they told Peter, don't go near the dogs because they were pissed.
And don't go in the room. There's a moment where two of them fight,
And
and
my other
it's,
question,
they were hungry.
are you like with me kids to force you to lick your tongue on the pole?
What was it like?
Yeah.
Cold. Really cold.
Don't do it, it really works.
And the teacher came out to help you out.
Oh,
And I think
Miss
on
Shields.
911.
Sweetest woman, Teddy Moore, the actress that did Miss Shields. I just saw her last month in Toronto, and she's just a wonderful lady. You know, being that I was the oldest student,
I got a question for you too.
Okay.
Okay.
In a movie called The Elf,
Yes, sir.
why are you went into the women's bathroom to start singing?
Oh, yeah. So I did a little cameo in Elf, if you guys know that. I was Ming Ming in that movie. I didn't take credit on purpose because I thought it'd be fun to just let people kind of find out. But all that stuff in the North Pole, yeah, where the bathroom, where he was too big for the bathroom, yeah, that's why he had to get out of there. He was way too big for the North Pole. And I think sometimes he just would sing alone in the bathroom.
And I saw you to climb into the center back also.
Yeah, that was cool. The set was forced perspective, so they did it all on camera. But it was really, really well done.
And my other question was Scott, remember last one. Are you like your son, your brother went down the slide?
His brother goes down the slide.
Yeah, that was one. It was my brother went down the slide. He didn't like the slide very much the first time, but he grew to like it after that. And then he couldn't get him off it.
And I saw that Santa Claus did raise his boot up.
Yeah, and kicked me in the face.
Knock him down.
That's right. Yeah, he missed me. It was special effects, fortunately. He just went that way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you.
Hi, so my big question, just as you're saying all these surprises, the touching of the leg lamp. And I also want to ask that of like the other guys that were on set, the young guys that were watching it, the unveiling of the leg lamp and the leg lamp being around. Did you know the leg lamp was coming? Was that a surprise?
No, I remember it was a surprise to me on the set, because it was pretty genuine. And I was looking at my performance like, I don't think you were acting. I think you were kind of like, ooh, wow, what is this? So I think that was another one of those Bob moments where he let me see it for the first time on film.
Thank you.
I wasn't there at all, so I couldn't tell you. I saw it in the movies. She has the same problem I have, it's okay.
Hi.
Hi!
My question is, who was your favorite person to work with while you were doing Christmas Story?
Well, I have to say him. But
We were the dynamic duo.
between you and me, I think the most interesting relationship was between the director and the writer. And I loved working with them both, but they were so passionate about making this movie that, and the writer was there a lot, Gene. If Bob Clark would go to the bathroom, Gene would run up to me and tell me, you gotta do it this way, you gotta say it this way. Bob would come out of the bathroom and scream, get away from my actor! What did he tell me? Then he'd pull me aside and say, what did he tell you? What did he tell you? I'm like, guys, I don't wanna be in the middle of this. Let's just shoot. So, but what I learned on that was, it seemed like they were arguing, but they really cared, and they were really passionate, and they really wanted to do something great. So they loved each other, but they were just really working to make the best film that they could.
Is it okay if I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
What is your favorite part of the holiday season, both of you?
As a Jewish man. Whatever it means to you. And don't ruin her hopes and dreams. Don't be
Yeah, this is tough.
Don't be cynical. She likes the holidays.
I know she does.
I once held a Christmas party in August because I like Christmas so much.
See? Good for you. I like that. I That is a great answer.
Well, and there's a Hall of Fame WWE wrestler named Jerry the King Lawler. He was the voice of Monday Night Raw for 2 decades. He's like you. He loves Christmas all year long, and come the holidays, he will put on a Christmas Story on 9 different TVs in his house.
I don't know. I think we can all agree it's why we like Christmas movies, because isn't there still something, even as adults, magical when you wake up Christmas morning? There is this feeling that you get that's not like any other day. It's better than your birthday or your anniversary or whatever means something to you. There's something magical about Christmas morning, and it seems like whatever's going on, whatever problems are in the house, you kind of know it's going to work its way out somehow magically on Christmas. And I just look forward to that day, and I love that feeling.
Thank you for your questions.
Great questions, thank you.
Dude, wrong panel.
I appreciate the heads up, but thanks for the compliment. My question for you guys is, regarding the lamp, just a slightly different question. Did you guys think that there would have been a better reaction if there had been a solution to, did it just get knocked over by accident, or did you just go, I'm fed up with this lamp?
Oh, you mean the idea that it happened sort of off camera?
Yeah, it's just like a deleted scene. Do you think that would have made the movie better, in your opinion?
I don't know. I guess what I like about it, and in conversations I've heard, people debate what happened, right? Some think it was an accident, some clearly think it was on purpose based on her reaction and laughing at him.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was an accident and she finds his reaction funny. So I think it's almost smart filmmaking because it forces you to, I think it's a lose-lose. If you see her knock it over, you probably don't like her. And if it's an accident, it's hard to pull off. So I think he was smart to do it off camera and let you fill in the blanks.
Exactly. And honestly, to be honest, I think the right in between holiday, that movie that would fit best. Do you think that The Nightmare Before Christmas did just as good as The Christmas Story? To you?
Two totally different kinds of films.
I mean, I don't know. I like it. I think it's good. It's definitely different. My daughter wants to see it. She's 7 and I haven't shown it to her yet.
As long as you watch it with her, I think it'll be fine.
Correct.
Thank you. Somebody grab a mic, thank you.
You can pull it right off the clip if you want. There you go.
Scott, you might not remember me, but I met you probably about 2 or 3 years ago up in Anchorage at Articon.
Oh, sure, Articon, yes.
Yeah, so I already knew the story of how you did the tone thing, so thank you for showing that. A Christmas Story is like my family's movie, almost like year-round, and I'm also a Christmas baby. Go 1977. Yeah.
Nice.
But I have 2 questions that I've always wondered about. One, both of you, what's your favorite scene from the movie? And 2, a question for Peter. If I know my history and the trivia correctly, I think you were one of the only kids that got invited to see the Challenger launch.
Yes.
And I'd like to hear your experience about that.
Sure, I'll start there. I was a spokesman for an organization called the Young Astronaut Program, and it was to help encourage math and science. I think this was during kind of America and Japan's sort of educational battle of kids in school and aptitude for math and science. And Kristen McAuliffe was selected as a teacher, and then her and I had a big national press tour that was planned for when she was to have landed. And we were going to go on a whole national thing and kind of get the word out about math and science and this cool thing of a teacher in space. So I was invited out to that. And it was a very difficult day for obviously a lot of people. I was on the front of it, and I think kind of there's a lot of bad parts about that day, but sort of the worst part was where we were, there was all these cameras, the news cameras were pointed up at the launch, and then what we heard was the vehicle has exploded on the loudspeaker. And we were with some other folks who had family members who were there. They became extremely emotional, and all the press cameras turned then, to photograph them, which was sort of, and then we were escorted out of there. And then I got a call. Now, listen, I think I said this in the documentary, and I don't know if this is true. I go back to Phoenix that night, I get a call from the head of the Young Astronaut Program who said, I just hung up with Reagan, and you need to go on the Today Show in the morning. And I said, okay. So I went at like 4 a.m. to the satellite in Phoenix, and did, I think it was with Jane Pauley and Brian Gumble. I did an interview that next morning, and they just gave me some talking points about sort of moving on. And then unfortunately the program kind of went downhill after that. But it was a very strange time, and obviously my heart went out to the families who had lost them. But it was kind of the Kennedy moment, I think, for a whole generation of people, because there were so many eyeballs on that. And I'll let you answer the more uplifting question about the most favorite part of the film.
Oh, mine's a Chinese restaurant. You know, and I always say fate and destiny, everything happens for a reason. I was up in Toronto doing a thing for a couple days last month, and this nice kid come up to me and he's like, well, we never met, I was too young, but my dad was in the movie. I said, oh, really? I said, who was he? He goes, the Chinese restaurant, the loud guy. The loud guy. He said, my dad was an opera singer. And so when they booked him, Bob told him, just go ahead, belt it out, let it go. So after 40-something years, I meet the son of one of the guys at the Chinese restaurant with him, which is my favorite scene.
It's kind of one of mine too, just from a filmmaking perspective, because it's all one shot. And it's amazing how much is in that shot, like how far the needle moves from starting to all the components that go into it, to that kind of feeling of, sort of what I was talking about, that all hell can break loose on Christmas, but somehow magically it's all solved in a way that you never see kind. So I think that's a great scene.
That's awesome. I have one other quick question. So one thing that my family does every Christmas, you know, when the movie is playing, is we either call or text each other trivia questions to see who can win that year. So I want to win this year. What's your most obscure...
You want to cheat, basically.
Yes. What is your most... No one record this. What's your most obscure trivia fact about the movie? And you don't have to answer now. I can leave it to you.
Obscure trivia question.
I'll think on it. Why don't we go to another one, but I will shout out something to you before we're done.
And I'll give you the 5-minute reminder here. Now it looks like we have 5 people left in line, right? Is my math right? So if we rapid fire here, 1 minute per each, I think we can fit them all in.
Go.
Okay.
So for me and my sister, for the past 15-20 years, we've watched, like, our tradition together is we've watched Christmas Story on TBS. Like, we'll watch it all night if we can. It's a little harder when we're older, but that's like a really important tradition for us. Do you guys have, for whether it's Christmas or other holidays, do you have a tradition with your family, like when you were younger, or maybe with your own families as adults, that you hold near and dear to your heart?
That's a good question. I never had a family that was big on holidays at all.
Yeah, we were a big Christmas Eve family, and my dad would do a lamb, like a lamb roast, and it was really good. And I remember that, and we would sort of, one time we'd use the dining room, you know, which was a room that you never went into unless it was like a big holiday dinner. And then I tried numerous times to cook lamb, and it just hasn't worked. I've tried to replicate it, so now I'm sort of like holding on to that memory instead of trying to continue.
But you can cook a steak. I got 2 more to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is, as a mom, I saw the scene where you're running up this, or you're wrestling by the dresser to get downstairs because mom called you down with your brother.
Yeah.
Was that a real fight? Every time I watch, I'm like, we're over each other.
Kind of. Yeah, the 2 moments that were real, I think he just told him to start wailing on me. So he did. And then the other one, when it's Christmas Eve and they say go upstairs and he runs and I tackle him.
Yes.
And Bob said just tackle him. So we just did. It was the 80s, guys. It was all good. He was fine. There was a little carpet there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Totally.
Quick follow-up to when you said you had to do the script for the swear words.
Yeah.
So did they do the same thing for the actor that played your dad?
For Darren, they did. Yeah. They gave him stuff. Yeah. And
thank you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah. He was like, all right, cool. You need some help? Can someone help?
You can grab it. There you go.
Good job.
What is your favorite Christmas movie?
Well, good question. I see.
Loaded gun right there.
All right, I'm not going to mention one I was in. I think outside of one, I think I've done 5 now. Outside of that, it's Christmas Vacation. Jimmy's so good, and it's so fun to laugh.
And I like Elf. Or I could do like Miracle on 34th Street, which is pretty good. The original's okay. I like the newer one. Yes, young lady.
Hi.
You're going to be the final question. Make it good.
Okay, I'm wondering about what happened after the infamous F word. What was the soul like?
Oh, good question. So the cool thing about the F they actually let me say that word. And then they snipped it in editing. I was like, really? I can say it? He's like, you have to say it. And then we'll kind of figure out where to say it. So I was like, cool. It was actually made of wax, which is really cool. So it looked really good, so it didn't taste bad, so I didn't have to act through it.
Alright, I guess thank you because that scene inspired my parents to make me do that.
Good for you. Hey, by the way, you just solved the trivia. That's not well known. For the trivia lady, what was the soap made of? Was it actual soap? If she's still here, that's a good deep trivia. Okay, good. That's not really well known. You solved. Great job. Well, guys, thank you very much. This was